Let's take a look at the stock market. These are the S&P 500 futures. December contracts, remember these expire kind of in the middle of December. So if you're trading the futures, be aware of that. We're already in November. You're looking at maybe like 6 weeks before these expire. So just start keeping that in the back of your mind. As we approach the middle of December, you're going to want to start thinking about trading the March contracts. All right, so let's look at the weekly chart here. Obviously a big booming candlestick here. Range of nearly 200 points, 196 and a quarter. You can see we're almost back up to this one, back up to this 43.48, which is pretty decent resistance even on the weekly chart. Just look at the top of the bodies of these candlesticks. So not bad. We'll look at the resistance that's on the daily here in a moment. 43.48 obviously kind of running up against that right now. The high today was 43, let's call it 43.40. So only 8 points shy of this really pretty kind of significant resistance. You can see it's over here at the top of this candlestick, kind of this gap at our bottom of that candlestick there. These three or four candlesticks line up here, the bottom of this one. So this is kind of a big resistance spot. Okay. Again, bear in mind the week of November 26 is a projected cycle low. We'll see how low it goes. It may not be a biggie. Here's a green one that was low, another green one that was low. This one was good. This one was, but you see how this one was not. See this? Just kind of got up here, just stalled, never came really down, just went up again. And then pulled back into this cycle low. Okay. So we have to kind of watch this next cycle low here, November 26th. Is it going to really have any kind of significant pullback? Because it may not. All right, but we'll keep an eye on that. And then this one out here, I think is what, January, let's see, is it like, trying to remember where this is at, January 14th, okay? So I'll tell you what, while we're here, let's put this on here too for that one. And we'll go ahead and put it in there, the week of January 14th, okay? So that's that one right here, okay? All right, let's look at the daily chart. Get the daily drawing set up here. All right, now for the members, I didn't, excuse me, I didn't mention this for the members. Make sure you're paying attention to the hourly chart. The cycles on there have been pretty solid. Of course, obviously been in a very bullish run here. So the cycle lows aren't going to be those big pullbacks we saw in October, but they're still important. They might just be a few little red candlesticks, but they're really important. They help us time trades, right? For both entries and exits. So keep an eye on that hourly chart and the cycles I have up there. Seem like they're pretty accurate. I've been watching them closely the last few days since we've made this change from bearish to bullish. And yeah, it seems like they're doing okay. Of course, you got the 5-minute chart to use as well for the trade of the day on the GITTAS Plus indicator and the 15-minute chart there as well. So keep your eye on all the time frames, weekly, daily, and the short intraday time charts. Really, really important. It's been one heck of a run for the last 5, maybe 6 weeks. My gosh, been a lot of profit taking. Just been an amazing market. No sideways chop going on here, guys and gals. Lots of money being made. Okay, so getting back to the video here on this daily chart, a couple things stand out to me. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4 consecutive days of the market going pretty strong. I did look at some other data that is the universe indicator that I'm not going to show to the public, only for the members. But I will say that I would be kind of start getting cautious for a couple reasons. I'm not saying you shouldn't trade long, but you just need to be aware of some obvious things. One is we're approaching the 50-day moving average at 43.75. So that's this blue line right here. Not too much more to go. We're sitting at 43.29. You know, I personally don't like to trade right up to that moving average. I like to trade a little bit below it, give myself a little cushion. So just be aware that 50-day moving average is probably going to act like resistance. You can see it happen back over here. right? Even over here even, it got a little above it, but it pulled back below it. Again, it got above it a little bit, but it couldn't sustain it, got back down below. Okay, now there are times it trades way above it. Back here you can see it was just crazy trading all above it. Okay, so, you know, if it gets above the 50-day moving average really strong and takes off, you know, then we'll address that, because there's lots of room for that to happen actually. This look at this MACD, it's way below the zero line. So now, you know, just keep that in mind kind of long term on the daily chart, that, you know, there could be a lot of room to the upside. Could potentially happen to get above the 50-day moving average, but usually the 50-day moving average is going to act like some type of resistance initially, and then we'll follow the market. Does it break through above it and get really hot and take off, because it could do that, or does it kind of hit it and, you know, get beaten down and just, you know, chuck sideways, and maybe kind of does one of these deals where it really can't get above it very well, you know, or even like this where it just couldn't get above it. So we'll have to watch that. Okay, next cycle low November 15th, and the one after that's the 10th. Okay, so those are the next two. All right. Also, just looking at the SMI here, right now it's at 57. You can see this one over here got a high of about 67. And this one over here was 65-ish. I'm looking at those only and not going too far back, because I don't want to start comparing, you know, when the MACD is way above the zero line with this over here, because this is the MACD's below, right? The MACD is below. So you have to really be aware of what momentum's doing. And the nearest one to that is kind of this one right here. So doesn't mean the market's going to duplicate what it did back here when it was at 67, but it's kind of a guideline, kind of helps you. We're at 57. I think there's a little bit more left in this. I think we will get up to this 50-day moving average. But just remember, you know, look at this, 4 days in a row, you get an exhaustion, right? Here's one, 4 days in a row, you get a red day. Then you get 3 more, kind of starts running out of gas, right? Here's one, of course, this was a gap up, but even this one had a total of 5 days, right? 4 days again. So here's one that was 4 days. Maybe you can call that 6 days, but it's more like four-day run. So when I begin to see 4 days, you know, you might see a 5th day before you get a red day. So I would just say, just from pure statistical, looking at just this chart, looking at the patterns and the history, just statistically looking at it, right? We know that 4 or 5 day runs are kind of like the max, and then you get a red day in there, you kind of get a price stall or something like that. So I just say be a little cautious next few days, especially as it gets close to this 50-day moving average of 43.75 or even a little below that. I see a red day coming in here somewhere, price stalling, you know, and then we'll reevaluate as it kind of gets to that sticking point, because I'm pretty sure we're going to see a sticking point either tomorrow, which this candlestick's already started right here, or the next day, probably something like that. Okay, so just kind of keep an eye on that. I think the market's going to have a little brief pause. Okay, let's look at the trade of the day. All right, so here we are on the 5-minute chart. Now, you know, today, if you will, started right over here late last night and ended, you know, on this line right here. This little bit of section over here is the futures trading tonight, which is, you know, that's recorded for tomorrow. So we're going to ignore this little section. So this is all it right here. This is the day we're looking at, which is basically the day that just closed. Okay. So what's the trade of the day? Well, the trade of the day is right here. Super obvious. Okay, and it happened at 2:50 a.m. Now, my members, the astute members may be saying, well, how come we don't have a lot of Get Us Plus indicators popping up right now? What's going on? We usually get more than that. What's going on is when you don't see very much Get Us Plus indicators popping up, that tells you the market is very strong in one direction or the other. And it should be clear the market's very strong in this direction, up, right? Because you're not getting a whole lot of Get Us Plus indicators. That means the market's very strong, moving in one direction. In this case, it's bullish. And that's a good thing. That means you can kind of trade, I don't want to say, you know, trade carelessly. You know, you should still have your risk management in place, but you can trade a little bit more liberty when this is going on. What do I mean by that? might let your positions run just a little bit longer. You might, maybe, this is all just my opinion and maybes. I'm not telling you to do this, right? You have to take your own account and maturity and how much risk are you willing to tolerate. That's all up to you. Okay, but I'm just letting you know that when you don't see Get Us Plus indicator popping up that much on the streaming charts for the members, that means the market's very strong, either down or up. Right now it's up. It should be obvious. We've had 4 massive green days. It's just like to the moon, right? So when I see that going on, what I do is I tend to trade and let my positions run just a little bit longer, because I know the pullbacks are going to be really no-nothing pullbacks most likely, and the market's going to surge again. Okay. Also, sometimes I take on a little bit bigger position. I don't go crazy because the market can catch you out, but I might take on, if I'm trading E-micro futures, instead of trading 3 or 4 contracts, I might trade 5 or 6. Okay. Or I might trade an E-mini plus 1 or 2 E-micros right along with it. So those are kind of some of the things that I do. Of course, my risk management is still there. I still have a good feel for my entries, my exits, of course. And I'm using, the 1 hour chart, at least lately, to really help me with the entries and exits, because it's just been golden. I'm going to tell you right now, that isn't always going to last. The market isn't always going to be as good as it is right now, guys and gals. I'm telling you that right now. It's just been absolutely amazing for the last 6 weeks, and hopefully it continues to do it. But it isn't always going to be like that. I've been trading a long, long time, and I can remember when the market would just trade sideways, literally for months, doing nothing but just trading sideways, barely moving. I mean, we're just talking a few points up and down. Nobody can make any money doing anything. Everybody's doing straddle options because that's the only thing they can make money at, and even then they weren't making a lot of money. So these are really good times right now, so take advantage of it. All right, so that's kind of the trade of the day. Just be aware, even though what I just talked about right here doesn't mean it's going to continue, because I believe, like I just said a little bit earlier in this video, I think the market's going to run into a little pause here. So be really careful. I don't think right now is the time to take on a bigger position or to let your positions run longer. Definitely not, because I think the last 4 days, that's what you should have been doing. Okay, right now, I'd say be a little cautious. I would actually reduce my position size just a little bit, and I would be very careful about not letting my positions run too long. It's okay to take some little bit smaller profits, right? And just keep on going until we see what this thing's going to do when it gets towards its 50-day moving average. That's how I would play it. That's probably how I will play it. All right, so keep that in mind. All right, if you want to become a member, you want the streaming charts I'm talking about, you want to get the universe indicator that's been absolutely banging. I've been talking about it all week, couple weeks. It's been forecasting the market really, really well. It doesn't always do that, but lately it's been doing an awesome job. You want the streaming charts of 5 minutes, 15 minutes, to 1 hour. The universe indicator is only on the emails to the members at night. That's the only way they can get it. So, and while I'm on that topic, you get a nightly email. All the members get nightly emails. As long as you leave your email address in the emails only channel, you'll get the nightly email, which is an attachment of the S&P 500 chart and a few sentences of my opinion about what I think the market's going to do. Now, we just saw the trade of the day, and that Get Us Plus indicator that helps us with the trades of the day also gets sent as an alert to the S&P 500 alerts channel right here. So members get to hear, and get to see, I should say, the alerts in this channel. They just right-click on this channel and set their notifications. Hey, they might have their phone on vibrate if they're busy, and the phone vibrates, they know they got an alert, they check it, they can decide whether they want to make a trade or not. That's, however you do that's up to you, but this is where the alerts come. So that's pretty cool. So the streaming charts send the alerts to this channel. There's gold alerts, crude oil alerts, top 30 stocks for the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. Go to this channel here. All right, the daily alerts will be an occasional symbol or two that goes in there for more like swing trades. Okay, I talked about the emails, the nightly emails. I do some corporate bonds once in a while. I'll put some comments in there about that, what I might be trading once in a while. Occasionally I'll trade currency, maybe the euro dollar. I might trade the British pound. Sometimes I traded the Canadian earlier this year and made some bank on the Canadian dollars. That was really nice. So if that doesn't happen a lot, but it happens occasionally, and I put the comments in there about what I'm trading. Okay, and you can see there's other channels here, the member chat, SP 500, we're always chatting in there. Okay, all of these, and if you want the streaming charts, that's down here. So when you join for the $7.99, you also get the streaming charts. So you click on the streaming charts and you'll get the 3 charts I talked about, the 5-minute, the 15-minute, and the 1 hour. Okay, so all these channels in this rectangle, all those are members only. So when you come into the server, and the link is in the description below this video, so just make sure you read that description very carefully so you don't have any problems joining. You're going to click on that link. It's going to bring you over to the Get a Server. Then you're going to click on Server Shop. Brings you to this page, $7.99 a month. Okay. Many of the members don't even think about the $7.99. They're making so much money that I can't guarantee you're going to make that. It has a lot to do with your maturity, how patient you are. Are you willing to learn how to use the service and not be in a big hurry? If you do that, my opinion is you're going to do just fine. The membership's going to be an afterthought. There are people making $100 to $300 a day. Some of them are making even more than that. All right, so it has a lot to do with you and how patient you are and how you want to use the service, okay? But the last thing I just want to say is all these channels here are members only channel. So when you join, you're not going to get into any of these channels until you pay. The only channel you can get into is the general channel. So if you have any questions, drop them in there. I'll try to pick them up, okay? Other than that, just join, enjoy the service, watch the videos, okay? Make sure you go onto the streaming chart so you can see what's going on there. All right, happy trading, everybody. God bless everybody. We'll talk to you all real soon again next time.